Hi everybody, Hilary Cragg here. I'm going to talk about Lewy Body dementia today, so thank you for listening, and I really hope that this is going to be helpful. Lewy Body dementia is a very particular form of dementia. Only about 5% of people who have a dementia have Lewy Body dementia. It's relatively rare. But for those people who do have it, it can be very impactful because some of the side effects and things that happen with that person can be quite traumatic and quite difficult and challenging to manage, and for any carers that they have to manage as well. So first of all, Lewy body dementia is actually, again, as all with all dementias, it's changes in the brain, but the changes are a build-up of a protein that's known as a Lewy body, so hence the name Lewy body dementia. Quite interestingly, I've heard a presentation from the UK Brain Bank, who works on people with dementia, and they have told me that about 55% of the brains that they see have an element of this Lewy body protein in it, and so this particular protein is linked to dementia in a way that isn't actually properly understood at the moment. But even though 55% of brains appear to have this protein, only about 5% of all dementias are considered to be Lewy body dementia. So the link between the numbers of people with Lewy body dementia and how this protein affects is also not actually fully known or understood at the moment. Obviously, there's quite extensive research going into that. So the key thing to understand about Lewy body dementia is it's like a dementia, like everybody else, like every other dementia. It's a deteriorating condition, so it will get worse over time. And how it's commonly diagnosed and understood to be Lewy body dementia as opposed to any other particular kind of dementia is that it can have hallucinations that go along with it, and often they're of animals, and they can be very distressing. So these hallucinations could be either animals charging at that person, or they could be just dead animals around them. So they're sitting in a room that's got dead animals on the floor, but it can be other quite distressing hallucinations. Sometimes the sorts of things that you might see in a horror movie if anybody watches horror movies. So dead things, things coming out of the graves, but they can come from walls. They can come from anywhere. These hallucinations, and hallucination is something that person sees that it isn't really there, so it's different from a misinterpretation. It's something that isn't there. These hallucinations often happen in the evening, and it's known as sundowning. So in the latter hours of the afternoon and into the early evening, and sometimes then that covers the period that person goes to bed, can be the time that they then experience these very distressing hallucinations. And yet at other times in the day, they can be very lucid. They can have retain really, really strong understandings, good language skills, good processing abilities. And Lewy body dementia has this idea of this fluctuation throughout the day and night across this 24-hour period. So in the day, they can appear really quite well as an outward presentation, and if you met that person, you would potentially struggle to understand that there's really anything very much wrong with them, and yet later on in the day they're hallucinating or fighting these things that are coming out of the walls, or frightened because they're seeing dead animals in front of them. So it's a very fluctuating presentation. And there are some various kinds of medications that can help with some of the symptoms and trying to manage some of those symptoms. But the dementia is a deteriorating condition. There is currently nothing that's going to improve the underlying dementia itself. All that is available is to try and assist and deal with some of the symptoms. And some of those medications have side effects, which can also have detrimental impact. So sometimes it's a question of trying some medication, seeing if it works, and then if it doesn't, try something else. But this dementia can be made easier to live with if that person has the right support in place and the right understanding and the right level of things and help around them that will improve their life, make their life good when they're relatively well, and then make the symptoms that they find difficult and distressing at other times of the day a little bit less distressing than they were. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much for listening. It's really great that you listened. Thank you again. Bye.